right, so we have a special one today. We're here in sunny Fort Collins, Colorado. We got on the plane super early this morning just to travel out here to see this store called Underwater Wonders. We got a tip. They said that these guys really know SPS, and I wanted to see what they're all about. I guess they got nice display tanks, they're a service company, and their retail store has all of the stuff that they have in the display tanks. I'll tell you, this weather is incredible. It's 85, it's dry, it doesn't feel like it's 300% humidity like Florida, so it's a break for me. So I want to go inside and see what we've got. Man, we made it.
Awesome.
I appreciate you having us. So I was outside thinking about how busy the road frontage was. And then I came in and I talked to you, you said you're only open 2 days a week. That's crazy. What happened?
Yeah. Well, we do maintenance through the earlier part of the week, Monday through Thursday. We do maintenance, installs, tank moves, and that kind of thing. And then we moved into specialty Fridays and Saturdays. So we might start opening on Sundays, but we'll see.
How long has it been since you were doing 2 days a week?
It's been about 3 years now, 3 or 4 years. I think we started the shop in around COVID, so 2020. And then we just kind of progressed from there. People were knocking on the door and asking for, when we're open. And so now I think it's been about 3.5 years.
I started with that because I walk around the store and I think to myself, this is gorgeous for people to not see.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah, you really, at first glance, I think that you do a really, really good job. And it looks like you're a bunch of acro guys.
We are. Yep, we've got the bug for sure.
So let's talk about this for a minute. It's pretty stunning when you first walk in the door, you're looking right at the end of this peninsula tank.
Yep, yeah.
How big is this?
This is a 400 gallon. It's a 500 gallon system with the frag table is attached, and then there's a sump down below. So
okay.
About 550 gallons.
And what are the dimensions?
It's 7 foot by 30 by 36. So very deep tank, very hard to work in.
Do you like or dislike it?
I like it for the view. I don't like it for the maintenance. It's when something falls or you have to work on the bottom of the tank, you're in it to your elbows.
You might as well just take your shirt off and go diving.
Yeah, you could use a snorkel for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that we talk about quite a lot because we want everybody to know, when you're buying a tank, and you're planning that, are you taking care of it or is somebody else taking care of it?
Yeah.
So if it's you, maybe you would come a little bit shorter.
Yeah, I think 30 inches is a great depth. Mm-hmm. This tank it kind of fell in our laps and we set it up, and I love it for you can see the flamingo is just swimming in this open water. Mm-hmm. So it's a nice view.
Yep.
But maintenance wise, it is challenging. But you get the grabbing tongs and you get good with the grabbing tongs.
So in a system like this where you've got the sump beneath,
yep,
you have to go high with the base.
Yes.
Right. So this is what, 40?
42.
42.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, and that allows you to get a skimmer cup in and out of there.
Yep.
Barely.
Yep. We honestly, we don't even use a skimmer in this tank.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Bare bottom.
Yep. Bare bottom.
So super big benefit there.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned earlier that this wasn't always bare bottom.
No. So this tank, it's been set up for over 10 years. Before we were open to the public, it was just kind of one of our tanks. Had a big deep sand bed. I had a giant slimer, a huge scroll coral. I have videos of it. It was 36-inch circle.
Wow.
And then just, your common stylophoras like purple stylo and pavona and things like that. And we wanted to do a makeover. So we took everything out, sucked out the sand, bleached the whole tank, and then restarted it 2 years ago.
And you said it's 10 years old. Was it always here in this place?
Yep. It's been sitting in this place. It didn't have a frag table on it for the longest time. It was just one of my first tanks. Mm-hmm. And we just decided that we don't sell a lot of Slimer and purple stylophora. So we're like, why don't we put things in that people want, So we redid it all.
You've been in business for 10 years?
20. We just had our 20-year anniversary 2 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
mostly the maintenance, and the maintenance has been 20 years.
That's a big accomplishment.
Yeah, thank you.
Always in Colorado.
Yes. Yep.
Wow. So that means you've got a pretty established client base.
We do. Yep. I think it fluctuates, but we have about 85 customers right now that we maintain their aquariums either weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly.
Wow, that's really good.
Yep.
We used to come out here a lot more frequently when we attended Reef Stock.
Yeah.
And I was always blown away by how many reefers are in Denver.
Yeah, there are.
You don't consider this Denver, right?
No.
Okay.
We're an hour north, and so there's a couple clubs. There's one that's the Denver area, and then there's a Northern Colorado kind of club. So yeah, it's waxed and waned. I feel like for a few years the hobbyists there just didn't seem like there was as many. But now it's growing.
And when do you think that was, just out of curiosity?
I feel like over the last 5 to 6 years, the whole hobby in general has grown. I don't know if it's due to Instagram and social media and YouTube videos and this kind of stuff. So you can get the information, the bulk reef supply videos, all that kind of stuff, where it's easier to get at your fingertips as opposed to just relying on your local pet store. There's so much more information, and I feel like the hobby itself has kind of grown quite a bit.
Well, don't sell yourself short, too. I mean, you've been in business for 20 years. You have to imagine that you've influenced a fair amount of growth in this area.
Sure. Yeah.
You did a good job on a client's tank, and they told a buddy. Next thing you know, that buddy's a client of yours, or at least shopping in your store.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and when we did the specialty shop, when we started opening up, one of our goals was to get the new hobbyists in and get them started on the right foot, because there's a lot of information out there that can really make or break the hobby. So we kind of pride ourselves on teaching. So the reason we're only open Fridays and Saturdays, besides the fact that we work all week, right? I need some time off.
Somebody's got to do a job, right?
It's we really want to get people started on the right foot. So we get a lot of new hobbyists, and we teach them from the ground up, the way we do it. And there's a million ways to do it. I'm sure you and I, if we talked about it, there's a bunch of things we do differently. But
well, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What is your recipe? Let's talk specifically about this.
So all the tanks in our shop are done a little bit differently. This one is specifically run with a calcium reactor and Kalkwasser.
Okay.
I have
the calc is to keep the pH up?
Yep. Just at night. We just have it dosing at night, and then the calcium reactor during the day.
So the heavy workload of administering alk is going to be your calcium reactor.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And then I also have part 1 and 2 to fine dial things. We have the apex, like the tridents.
Okay.
So if anything starts to dip or whatever, and I can't expand or extend the calcium reactor, I'll just throw in a little bit of part 1 and 2.
As a manual process.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Just kind of boost it up a little bit, or it is on a schedule, so it does dose every hour of the day as well. But it's maybe 30 seconds or a minute or whatever, and I'll fine dial in what I want with part 1 and 2. But
and what do you think would lead to that dip or that need for adding that 2-part?
I feel like the consumption, as these things, like I said, this is about 2 years old. I started it last July, or 2 Julys ago, and these all started with frags. And so when you get these little guys, the calcium reactor and the Kalkwasser were totally fine.
Sure.
And then you start getting the corals start getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and the consumption just goes up. And I also have that clam, that Gigas clam is huge. He's 2 years old. He was that big.
That's only 2 years old?
2 years old. I put him in here right when I started the new tank. And
there you go. Leave space for a big clam like that.
Yep.
Holy.
I've always wanted one of those, but he's growing, he's eating me out of house and home. So I think that there's a lot of consumption there as well. So I found that maxing out Kalkwasser at night, there's only so much you can do. And then
due to evaporation.
Yeah. Yep. And then maxing out the calcium reactor for the daytime, and then anything else I just manipulate with calcium and alkalinity, or the part 1 and 2.
Yep. So we get a lot of questions about calcium reactors because it seems to be like a really daunting thing for people, maybe because there's so many mechanical components, or they just don't understand the concept of how they work.
Yeah.
Do you run a certain pace at which you're pushing water through the reactor?
I just use a pump. I know that some people use the dosing pumps now to feed it that way. I think the biggest problem we've always had in the past, besides the high maintenance aspect of it, is the lines will clog sometimes.
If you're running a really low effluent.
Yep.
Or you've got it in a spot where it picks up sediment, right?
Yeah. And so what we've done is we've actually expanded our feed line to almost 3/4 of an inch.
Oh, wow, that's smart.
And it works. We've had to, drill new holes and, just kind of change everything up. But The water goes in, at least it doesn't ever get clogged at that point anymore.
Sure.
The effluent, will control that just by what I want the pH and the alkalinity to be at.
So your pH in the system runs at what's your high average?
In here it's about 8.4, and it does.
Really high.
Yep, it does get down to about 8.1 to 8.0 at night, and so that's why the Kalkwasser kicks on. But I haven't really noticed too big of a deal with that swing. I know that people want to keep it really tight, and that's great. I found it hard in these big tanks.
Well, I guess we can talk a little bit about the fact that it's a peninsula. I mean, anybody who knows the videos that I partake in, I always somehow comment negatively on a peninsula.
Yeah.
Because you've got power heads on the end.
Yep. Yeah.
What was the reasoning behind that?
The whole look of the peninsula is great, but the concept is hard to pull off, especially when you've got a lot of acros. And to me, the acros come first. The look is important, but I'd rather get flow coming in and hitting all of this stuff. I look at the corals. I don't even look at that, stuff. I just kind of hope everyone else kind of comes in, looks at the tank and goes, this looks great, and doesn't care about the pumps.
Well, I'll tell you, if you had this end blacked out, it's still got that perfect low rock structure view through look. So I think in that regard, you nailed it anyway, regardless of whether you've got pumps on the end or not.
Yeah, I think, I don't like setting them up for customers because they don't want that, right? But it's, to us, the corals come first.
Sure.
I mean, that's what we're trying to grow coral. That's the priority. So
that's not to say that you can't do it, and it's not to say that you can't do it effectively. But one of the ways that I would go about it, if I didn't want pumps on the end, is going bare bottom like you did.
Yep.
But I would avoid having these corals on the bottom that really don't dig it, right?
Right.
So one of the things we've done in the past is you have your return line come up along and then pop in and shoot that way.
And so you can do that, or if you, we don't do a lot of closed loops anymore, but that would be something where you could probably have something coming up and put rock work around it and having it shoot this way to drag that scum off the surface. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of peninsulas, but like I said, this kind of fell into our laps, so we made it work.
Yeah, it works. 100% it works, obviously. I mean, you wouldn't have a home wrecker looking like that if it didn't.
Right.
So do you have any kind of corals in here that are like really near and dear to your heart?
Yeah, I would say, the home wrecker, I love that one. It's so hairy. And your guys' avalanche, Ari's avalanche, is just one of my favorites.
That's a spectacular coral, and it's nice to see it big like that too.
It's so beautiful. I have a lot of smooth skins in here, and some are on the other side.
I have to give you props. We travel a lot, and we see different stores, we see different hobbyist tanks, and I always feel like a colony this size is big in most cases.
Right.
And then I walked around your shop and I see these gigantic colonies, and it really gives you a feel for what their coral's supposed to look like. When you buy a frag, and we get that heat online all the time because we sell so many frags, but it's the proverbial seed. And we try to apply colony shots next to those frags that we sell. But you don't ever really get that impression until you come here and you see that.
Throughout the shop, we do have a lot of large colonies, and that we have these all as display tanks, mostly because we don't have tanks at our house. So these are our babies, but we do frag from them.
You come to work to have fun.
Right? Shocking. But yeah, we have a lot of larger colonies. Like I was saying, this is the youngest aquarium in here for displays, and so some of them are even bigger. And it's just, we frag from them just to stop the coral warfare and stinging, but we just love the big ones.
So you mentioned that you bring corals out to your customers too. And that has to become a remote grow out just the same.
Yeah. We have a handful. I wouldn't say all of our customers have like high-end SPS aquariums, but yeah, we do have a lot of large aquariums that are 2, 3, 4, 500 gallons, and they want large SPS. So we will bring out home wreckers and Walt Disney's and all these corals because we have extra of them, and we use them for grow out there.
So do you also sell big colonies?
We do. Yeah, there's a couple of people in the area that have
giant aquariums. And I mean, I'll break out something like a chunk of Aries and just sell the whole colony and put a baby in place. We love growing them. So, you know, getting to watch them start from just little frags to colonies is exciting. So we sell a decent amount of those online too.
The colonies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like shipping them very often, but
I was going to ask about that.
vendors, you know, will usually want like a giant Disney. I've probably got 40 of these this size. So we've got plenty of them and I can grow it out again.
Yeah,
So,
understood.
if people want large colonies, sometimes we break things out and change our mind. You know, we decide, as Jolene has kind of gotten crowded out, and I might just break it off and sell it to somebody. And then,
Well, that's the fun in this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can always change the appearance of the tank.
yeah. Well, and you'll notice we shove corals on top of each other. We'll just set them. You know, I've this blue staghorn was cool, but it's gotten big, so I've used it as a shelf.
That's how I keep myself engaged in the hobby. I'll tear my tank down and I'll start it up again.
Yeah.
Each and every time I do, I say, okay, I'll use this idea because the last time and the time
Yeah.
before it was that.
Yeah.
Right? I think reef keeping is more of an art form. You know, I think too oftentimes the newer hobbyists will find themselves stuck in this loop of, I need to test, I need to modify, I need to figure it out, I need to do better,
Yep.
rather than just letting it be and doing its thing and only focusing on the key factors,
Yeah.
you know, like alk or phosphates or
Yep.
something like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Or just even staying on a regular routine of things.
Right. Yep.
You know, we get busy with life, things happen.
Yeah.
You know, you travel, you have a baby, you move, all those things happen. But the reality is, in between, you go to work, you go home, you go to work, you go home.
Right.
Your tank should be no different.
Yeah.
Do those same things each and every day, and it'll find itself.
Yeah.
And then over time, you'll realize that now that the corals are actually staying alive, or now that the corals are actually growing, now you can find different ways to manipulate the tank and do the things
Yeah.
that you want to do.
Yeah.
You know, so I say grow them first.
Yeah.
Even if they're brown, grow
Yeah.
them first. Get into the habit of doing that, because then you can have this.
Yeah, because once you learn how they all grow and what they need, then yeah, you can create an aquascape. I mean, there's one chunk of rock here and a little rock there. And normally,
Yeah, how much is there to this aquascape?
some of the other ones have way less rock work, but that's because we know now that we can use the corals to make the rockscape.
Yep.
And that's exciting. I think that's where we're at now, is we love creating these aquascapes out of coral.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And then mix matching the color,
Yep.
or mix matching the style. Like,
Yeah.
to me, that is not the same texture of coral as that.
Yeah.
And they contrast each other perfectly.
Yep. Yeah.
You've got blue, thick, tall branch.
Yep.
And then you've got this pink, yellow, blue, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it, all in kind of your proverbial table.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like to, now, I'll put an Oregon tort back there just to complement the reds in front
Yep.
of it and the green.
And then
so
it's
it is
going to
kinda-
sneak its way out later on.
Yep.
The lights.
Lights. Yeah. So I had a guy just make these for me. I think they're from a company called Rapid LED.
That's a cool name.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's just DIY lighting, and
Yep.
you can buy the LED panel, the globe, all that stuff. So he made these and welded a little frame around it and gave them to me and just to try. These are just is it 420 nanometer or whatever?
Blue.
Blue,
Yeah.
very blue. And then that's the only spectrum. And he was trying to tell me I've had these for 10 years. He was trying to tell me that that's the only spectrum that grows coral, but this was 10 years ago.
So those are programmable by spectrum?
Nope, they're just on and off.
Okay, so
Yep.
so there's one blue bar
Yep.
and one white bar
Yes.
on either side.
Yes.
And then the blue big multi-chip,
Yep.
whatever, rapid LED light.
Yeah, and that's pumping the majority of the par.
And those are on throughout the entire course of the day?
They're on for 8 hours. The blue UV spectrum ones are on for 10 hours, and then the whites are only on for 6.
Okay.
So basically 10 hours, 6 hours, or 8 hours, and then 6 hours on the whites.
So most of the blue is going to be 10 plus hours.
Yep. Yep.
And then the white only for 6.
Yep.
Nice. Well, it looks really good.
Thank you.
Your water parameters.
We ICP test all of the systems at our shop every month.
Okay.
And so for alkalinity, 7.7 to 8 is where we try and stay. Then calcium and magnesium are pretty standard at like 400 to 440 for calcium, 1350 magnesium. So I try and keep nitrates at around 10.
And what happens if they get high?
Water change,
Okay.
but they don't. And I don't have a skimmer or a refugium. So it naturally kind of balances out. And we do, since it's retail, we're taking water out of the frag table, and that also gives us a water change. But the phosphates, if it gets high, I usually keep them around. This one stays a little higher than I normally prefer, but everything does so well. But they're at about 45 parts per billion, or 0.15, I think. And that seems to work really well.
Do you think that's the result of the food that you put in?
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, we feed a lot because some of the fish are large in here. But there is a little bit of a sand bed still in the refugium from 10 years ago. So I don't know if that's got some detritus down there as well, but I think that might also keep the nutrients up a little bit. But I think, honestly, every time we have a Vlaminghi in a tank, the amount of food and poop always keeps it up.
It's like a crop duster.
Yeah, yep. So I've never had to, I'll actually put a little bit of GFO in if it gets, up into the 60s or 70s, but usually it stays around 45 to 50.
I'm sure that if you took some of these big colonies out here, you would see those numbers rise.
Yeah. Oh, and when back to your question from before, when I sell a colony out of it, every time if somebody bought this colony, you definitely notice it quickly.
Elk goes up.
Yep.
Phosphates and nitrates go up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Very fast.
Yep. Yeah, these are definitely a sink for a lot of material going in the water.
Yep. Yeah.
Cool. I think this tank looks really super good. I'm definitely happy to say that it was worth the trip.
Awesome. I really appreciate you guys coming.
But this is the tip of the iceberg, and you've got a whole bunch more here. So we should probably take a look at that stuff.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right, so I wanted to come over here and do a little feature spot in the video on this because this is really cool, and I applaud them for this because in retail you got to do a little bit of extra special stuff to make things look cool, right? And to me, they nailed it on this because look, it's like a little bird bath, and it's got a whole bunch of different clams and the mangroves, the bright white light over top. And then it just cascades down over into the tank that it's in. And I think that is really, really cool. Props to them for doing this. And it's the best way to look at these clams. So, I don't know, eat your heart out. I think that that's an awesome job. Okay, so I said you had a bunch of stuff going on, and this is exactly what I mean. Look at this thing.
Yeah.
It's packed full of corals.
Yes.
And they're a lot bigger than the last tank that we just looked at.
This is the first tank we set up here, so it's 4.5 years old.
Okay, and this is the Mega Matrix from
Planet. Yep, 310, 315, whatever it is.
So it's 8 feet long. It's like 8 by 2 by 2?
8 by 30 by 2.
Ah, okay.
Yep.
I like this tank. I think for me, it's much more visually appealing, even though the view through look of that peninsula is really nice.
Yeah.
I like to look down on the Acros.
Yeah. Yep.
And you have that feel here, instead of if your stand is tall, you're looking at the browner side of the coral as opposed to the part that the light's hitting.
Yep.
So awesome execution again.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about what goes into this one versus the other one, maybe.
So this one, as far as the feeding of like alkalinity and all that, this one is also Kalkwasser driven.
Okay.
But its main supplement is All-For-Reef. So this one is 90% All-For-Reef, Kalkwasser in the evenings. And then I also use part 1 and 2 for fine dialing.
And how much All-For-Reef goes into a tank like this?
This one is almost a milliliter per gallon. So there's probably almost 300 milliliters a day going into it.
So that's more than one of those bottles.
Yes. So this one goes through, I'd say, probably it's probably about a quarter of a gallon a week.
Okay.
If I'm doing the math right. Something like that, yeah.
Are you mixing the powdered solution?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, we make it in bulk.
Now, does that need to stay mixed?
No, we buy it in 5-gallon buckets because we use it for a lot of our maintenance accounts. So we just mix about 10 gallons a week, and then we use it here at the shop or out in the field.
Interesting. Why go that route with a tank like this?
So I had this one on part 1 and 2 exclusively, and the problem is when you aren't doing water changes, the salinity starts to creep up. And I was noticing going through, I probably went through a gallon of part 1 and 2 every single week on this tank. And if I wasn't doing water changes, the salinity would go from 102.6 to 102.8.5 in 1 week.
In a week.
So,
Wow.
There's not enough room underneath for a calcium reactor at the moment. I am going to probably implement one, mostly because I want the phosphates out of it.
So this tank is void of phosphate, you're saying?
This one is very low. I have to feed reefroids or liquid phosphate daily.
Interesting.
So I do want the phosphate reactor. I guess back to the other tank, that's another contributing factor to the phosphates would be the
media.
calcium. Yep.
Yeah.
And so I switched to All-For-Reef because that eliminates the salinity problem. And it works really well. We use it on every one of our clients out in the field. And it just seems like it's got a good balance. And anything, if it gets out of balance, I'll use the part 1 and 2. We don't need to do water changes very often because we do the ICPs and we do our traces based on that. However, we have a large quarantine system in the back of our farm, and we're using 200 gallons a week we use existing water to use for our quarantine system.
Okay.
So we're always pulling water just to replace the QT systems. So I would say we have 4 large display tanks in our shop, and I think each of them I'd say 100-gallon water change once a month.
Oh, wow. So very minimal.
Yep. We do just one large one to fill our 100-gallon QT.
Interesting.
So
Well, the
it's more of
corals
a
aren't suffering.
No, and we've done it. We've gone 6-8 months without water changes, and we haven't seen a lot of difference either.
Wow.
So once we switched to All-For-Reef, we were able to do that. But if we weren't, when we were using part 1 and 2, if we didn't do a water change, the salinity would just keep creeping up. So
Interesting.
that was the big reason for the All-For-Reef switch, and then we had such great success. It's been on this one for 3 years.
Yeah.
And so we just decided to incorporate it in a lot of other places, and we've had great success with it.
I've used it well, and I appreciate the product. The only thing that I found was that and I do frequent water changes.
Yeah.
I found that if your salt mix is going to be high in mag or calcium, those numbers just go through the roof if you're going through a lot of elk.
Yep, and we switched over to Two Little Fishies accuracy.
That's a relatively low elk.
Yep, yeah, and well, that one's got the alkalinity is usually 8. 8 to 8.3.
Yeah.
And so we switched, or we've used every salt, and we liked the trace elements on the Two Little Fishies and the 8.3, 440, and 1350 magnesium. There's none of the weird 1500 magnesium or the low 380 calcium. I've used all the salts. They're all good in their own way, but we like having it match.
And it mixes really well.
Really well. And the traces, I mean, we ICP it all the time, and it's got the best traces of all the salts. So when we use that, I guess maybe that's why, since we use Two Little Fishies, we're not getting that calcium and magnesium creep up because we're not starting with a 500 calcium or anything like that.
Just like we talked about with the other one, flow is a thing here.
Yep, lots of flow.
Right? So, I mean, obviously, when you've got so many Acropora, you have to deliver flow.
Yep.
And when they're this big, it gets even trickier, right?
Yep, and you can see one of my favorite spaths started dying off, and I noticed that one of the impellers on the gyres, they get dirty and then they cut by 50%. And
yep.
Got a lot of things going on in the shop.
Well, that section right there is it's getting ready to do just that.
It's thick. So like I'm checking the bottoms of all of these for their health. And so I've got these things now directing down underneath because I think that sometimes when these colonies get so large, if the bottom side, doesn't get that flow, that the ocean is, moving that water volume all through the whole system or, around the coral. And so I've been aiming them into the thick of it now. And that helps. So I was losing a couple of tips on this spath just recently in the last week, and it was all due to flow. So yes, some of these things, although they look awesome at this size, there's a lot of new challenges.
They do. Yeah, it's almost as if you're going to keep them big like that. Your goal has to be to keep separation in between the colonies.
Yep, and I still, I still take frags off of certain sides of it, but I'm going to just let them do their thing.
And I'll add more flow if I have to.
I really don't honestly know the science behind it, but I feel like just being exposed to corals for so many years, I feel like an acro needs to aspirate a lot.
Yeah.
It needs to get rid of that mucus that it produces. And if it can't do that, I think generally that is the reason why when they get close together like that, not only do they communicate that war signal, right?
Yep.
But then also too, there's not enough flow to wash off that. Yeah. It's like an off-gassing thing.
Oh, 100%. You know? I mean, just deep in here, I mean, there's no water movement happening. So
in a 10-inch or a 12-inch square, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different corals.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So it's been a challenge, but I guess this is kind of the goal, right?
Yeah.
You start off with all these little frags, and you're patient for a year, 2 years, 3 years. In this situation, 4.5 years, and it's finally what my goal is.
Yep.
And then immediately it starts showing you that this goal is hard to maintain.
First world problem.
Yeah. Yes. And I've thought about breaking out certain colonies, and you'll see that this side is much more mature than this side. This side was like this, and I had giant slimers and giant corals, and I broke them off and started again, and just the collection is, never ending. So this side is probably the next thing, but I just love the way it looks right now. And
yeah, you could almost like cut this tank here.
Yeah.
And it's like the perfect display.
Yeah, exactly. I wish I could do like Carlson surge or reverse Carlson surge to really get the movement, but it's messy.
Yeah, for sure.
And not the right tank for it.
What do we have this tank lit by?
So this is Radion XR30s, and then just some of the old XHO bars.
Still the best blue.
Yep, it's great. And I've been thinking about changing them to the Quantas, but they're doing great. The XR30s, I have 6 of them on here on an 8-foot tank. So
Pros?
Yes, I like the pros. We use blues all over the place too, but the pros give me that white look that I love.
They give you more punch under the white spectrum.
Yeah, and I'm only at maybe 80% intensity on this one.
Well, it's not too deep of a tank.
No.
I mean, that tank over there, I think you'd probably be able to turn them up.
Full
Yeah.
Full throttle.
And then it looks like you've got a little bit of sand here and not a little sand there.
This started out as a sand bed. And over the years, the guys that I work with have slowly whittled me down, and I keep taking more and more out. But we've also gotten more SPS heavy.
Sure.
So as we got SPS heavy, I started pulling it out, and I leave a little bit, but honestly, it'll probably all go at some point. It's hard to maintain a sand bed's health when it's only a 1/2 inch thick, and in a couple of areas, you can put cirrus snails in and cucumbers and Nacerius snails and all the critters that keep it aerated. It just gets harder and harder, and I feel like the thinner it gets, it's just dirty.
So this tank doesn't grow a lot of coralline?
No, the other there's some back over here in the shade, but
and what do you think the optimal condition for coralline is?
That's hard. That's a hard question. I guess the coralline grows really good in the 400 at the very bottom of the tank. I always thought it was a lower light, and but I've had it grow really well in highlight as well. Me too. So I'm not sure.
I think my personal opinion is a tank that filters really well.
Yeah.
And washes the surface clean. I think a very, very clean surface is optimal for coralline settlement.
I could see that.
I may be completely wrong. But I find that in a new tank, that's never the case, because you have all those new bacterial moams and things that are growing on surfaces.
Slime films and things like that.
It's not until you get all those fish in there that are cleaning and picking at the surfaces and all of your inverts that are doing their job, and you dial your flow in right, that's when the coralline really takes off.
Yep. And I did have a lot of coralline on the back. You can see on the overflow, but we always scrape this one if we're gonna get it videotaped, because it just pops.
Well, it looks good like that.
Yeah, but on the bottom, it doesn't grow very well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe that is partially true, because if it was really good, strong flow down here, I don't think these ganies would really be as happy as they are.
Yeah, and that's the hardest balance with the mixed reef. I'm a sucker for having at least a few ganies, or I love gorgonians and brain corals. And it's hard with a SPS dominant tank because there's so much flow along the surface. But you can see that I start tucking them in.
Yeah, you resort to doing things like that with the frog spawn
Yeah.
in order to get them in there.
Yeah, and then I love it like that.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we've got a lot more to look at, and I don't want to spend too much time here because this video is going to turn out to be an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
All right. So what's next? We've got a big tank on the other side.
Garrett's tank, the 550.
Let's go take a look.
Yep.